That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad. Son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
What is going on, folks? Welcome to Fishing Friday Live. Trey hopped back in here. He was gone for a second, but by the time we went live, Trey popped back in here. Pete's gone tonight. He's been a little vacation out west. Sent us some videos of some wolves eating. Was that a buffalo or elk? I couldn't tell.
I couldn't tell either. All I know is it was down and they were hungry. So
they were eating.
But Ben, you got it going on there in the one cast cave, and you're skirting jigs and getting things ready for all the orders and stuff like that. And as we always do, we shout out those who support the One Cast podcast, and we're gonna do that right now, and that's One Cast Fishing. So head on over while Ben is making those. What is that? That's a snagless flipping jig, black and blue.
Yeah, I painted about 1,200 black and blue jigs today of all types. So now it's a lot of skirting and packaging. But make sure you go over to onecastfishing.com. Use the code TheOneCast, which a couple have come in here the last couple of days. So definitely appreciate that. But yeah, save some money. Join the Snagless Revolution. Do that before your next fishing trip, and then also before you get out there in the water, go on your phone, download the Deep Dive app. Take advantage of the free trial if you haven't already done so. But I'm sure once you do, you'll be like us and you'll want to subscribe, because there's a lot of features on there that help you plan your fishing trip, make adjustments out in the water if you're having trouble. They help identify key areas that will probably be holding fish. They'll help identify maybe the baits to use. They'll give you the weather conditions, flow rates, wave effects, a lot of great stuff in there on Deep Dive to help. We do all our research beforehand, and now it's in on one single app. So make sure.
Yeah, I mean, if the One Cast hasn't shown you guys like how effective Deep Dive is, and we're not making videos and stuff, we're just telling you guys about it, but we use it all the time, and a lot of the pros are using it too. They're making a lot of videos, and it helps out a lot. Especially when you're trying to break down a new body of water. Frank Duffy, what's going on? Appreciate you jumping on here. Also, when you're online before your next fishing trip, get stocked up on your Carolina Waters fishing apparel, and you can find them at carolinawatersnc.com, and you can use that same code, TheOneCast, all one word, at checkout to save money and get your hands on all that great UPF gear, from the hats to the gloves to the neck buffs to the UPF shirts. They got some new stuff coming out, so stay tuned for that, and support a local North Carolina company that we rock their apparel all the time. Make sure we don't get that, what they call that melanoma. And then while you're also online, use that link that we provide. That's going to take you right to Hobie Eyewear's website. And we talk about them all the time because we love the product that they've created. But get your hands on Hobie Eyewear's. And you guys, there's lifestyle frames, there's floating frames, they have prescription glasses. If you use that link that we give you, you're going to save like 15% on your order. And we are huge fans of the floating frames, and looks like Ben has a pair of the Hank Cherry Sightmaster lenses, right? Which are great for low light conditions. They're great for sight fishing. I wear them all the time, especially recently here in North Carolina, because we've had nothing but cloudy conditions and rain. What's up, Tim? Appreciate you jumping on. What's up, my mother from Kalamazoo, Michigan, which I'll talk about that here in a minute. So head on over there and get your hands on any of the lineup that Hobie has to offer you. Also, after you get your UPF gear, after you get your sunglasses, after you get your One Cast Fishing product, and you're subscribed to Deep Dive, we here in the Piedmont region have some of the best bass fisheries to offer. Jordan Lake, Falls Lake.
I mean, Passatank is one of the top in the Southeast.
I mean, so much so that Bassmaster Elite Series is coming back here in 2026. You're going to need a place to stay. You're going to probably want to move you and your beautiful family here. So what better way than to hit our friend Uncle Terry up with Howard Caldwell. I don't know. You know what? Terry's a real estate agent here in Central North Carolina. You can get him at carpenterT@hpw.com. He's going to get you squared away. Terry himself is a huge avid outdoorsman and bass angler specifically, so he's going to know exactly what you're looking for when you want to get that layout for your bass boat to fit perfectly in that garage, which was Pete's number one priority when he bought a house here last year. So hit up Uncle Terry at carpenterT@hpw.com. Move to Piedmont, North Carolina, Central North Carolina, and catch some big old bass. Good gracious.
You got it all.
There we are. I slaughter Uncle Terry's company, man. Like I just cannot. Howard Perry Walston and Caldwell Banker. There it is, right there.
There we go. You know, I heard that the other day by somebody else. I don't know if it was an advertisement or someone. I don't know what it was from, but it wasn't us or it wasn't fishing related. But I heard that the broker there. I was like, oh, I know. That sounds familiar.
And dude, you know as well as I do, like a lot of guys. Like I have a lot of friends in the real estate industry. A lot of guys and gals that get out of the military, they go get the real estate license. You know, they're trying to turn and burn houses because they know that the market around a military installation is so dynamic. It's constant, right? Like you have soldiers moving in, soldiers moving out twice a year, big floods of them and stuff. But I'll tell you this, like I've never seen somebody sell so many houses like Uncle Terry has. Like that I think he sold 3 houses last month, which would have been July, which that's a lot of houses to sell, right? That's almost one a week.
Well, especially right now, things are not moving super fast.
Right.
At least in my neighborhood. Like, you know, it's not like it was 5 years ago, whatever it was. So, I mean, that's super impressive, which means he is really working for his clients, right? Those looking for a house and he's putting in the work to find the place that they want and then negotiating the right deal.
Absolutely. We got smallmouth charters on here from Okeechobee. Man, I'll tell you what, that's a bucket list place of mine. I'm definitely going to make my way down to Okeechobee. Maybe you can hook us up with a cool place to stay. So he said he caught an 8.7 the other day. And I'll tell you what, man, like, you know, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, man, like we got some big fish to offer. But before we get into the fishing stuff, we're going to recap what's going on with the BPT, with the series, the upcoming events with the MPFL. Another upcoming event to make everyone aware, and which happens every single year, which is the Friday before Veterans Day, is the annual Mark McCowan Special Operations Bass Anglers Tournament. They host a great event. It's always on Lake Norman, which is in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's about 3 hours west of where we're at. All the proceeds go towards the Yellow Ribbon family. They have a ton of giveaway prizes. It is a entry fee tournament with payouts. And it's on 44,000 acre Lake Norman, right? So it's a really fun time. So if you're in the North Carolina area or outside, like our friends from New Jersey travel, our friends from Florida, people from Texas, all over the place, come to fish this event. It's a one-day event. It's fantastic. You're not going to catch 25 pounds, but you're probably going to catch a ton of fish. And it's really good camaraderie. So if you're interested in that, go on to the Special Operations Bass Anglers Facebook page, and they have their way of signing up, right? Usually you just shoot them a message, say, I'm going to sign up. And then the way that the boat order works is whoever's the first person to sign up is boat number 1. And then it goes in alpha or numerical order after that, right? So really great event. Following that, we have Take a Warrior Fishing event, which I believe is the next weekend after that. So Take a Warrior Fishing is a 501c3 dedicated to getting veterans out on the water. Fishing heals is our motto. And we're going to be hosting an event on Sharon Harris Lake. It's a multi-species veteran-driven event. Really cool deal. Get veterans out on the water, have them hook up with whatever bites. It doesn't really matter. Bunch of donors that are going to be supporting that cause. I can't go through the list because there's way too many of them. But at the end of the day, if you're a boater here at around the Sharon Harris area and you want to get a veteran out on the water, head on over to
Take a warrior fishing.
No, it's warriorfishing.org.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and sign up through that. Nick Kincaid's on here. What's up, brother?
What's
Good to
going
see
on,
you
Nick?
too. You sexy animal. We just got done shouting out Soba's annual Martin McCowan tournament. This year it's in dedication, by the way, of Mrs. Shannon Kent, who was unfortunately she paid the ultimate sacrifice in Manbij, Syria in January of 2019. So hopefully her family's going to be there, and you may be able to have a conversation with them. All right. Ben, I want to get into go ahead before I jump. I'm sorry.
In 2019, what month was that?
That was January of 2019. So John Farmer, Shannon Kent, Tahir Gadir, and I cannot remember the fourth individual's name. And then my team leader, John Turnbull, Major John Turnbull, and other casualties were subjects of a suicide bombing attack in Manbij, Syria, which during that time was pretty much a semi-permissive environment.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, I'm not even going to say their name. The terrorist organization was able to get the leg up on that one. So if you guys are interested in learning about that, John Turnbull has written a book. I believe Shannon Kent's husband wrote a book as well. And it's fully documented in there. You can go on YouTube. You can see the bombing itself. I wouldn't recommend it if you're not into that kind of thing. But if you're guys like us that want to see, how the enemy operates, then you kind of see it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But go ahead.
No, I was just asking because I still can't remember if that was right before I went over to that part of the world or right after I got back.
Yeah.
It all runs together now.
It does. Yeah, it definitely does.
I remember that.
So, jumping into some current events. This one, for everyone listening, we always here at the OneCast talk about boating safely, making sure that we are responsible for the decisions we make. We don't take anything lightly. And accidents happen. We get it, right? Like I'll speak for the group. We totally understand accidents, but it's we had a situation here at Sharon Harris in Wake County, North Carolina, where an impaired boater unfortunately took the life of a 10-year-old child and changed multiple people's lives in that incident. And, for me personally, like that is a 100% avoidable situation, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I like to have a cold one with the boys now and then, or after I mow the yard or whatever. But I have a strict rule. There is no alcohol allowed on my boat. Like, there's just not, right? Because I'm operating the boat. I'm in charge of it. I don't care if you're a passenger and you're a friend of mine. At the end of the day, you're not taking beer or alcohol or whatever on my boat. Unfortunately, this child lost her life, changed the lives of multiple parents. And if you go to the local news here, which is WRAL News, like there's some people that posted some questions in the news article itself. Which was, written by one of the journalists. And I just I'm going to say this question to the group. And then Ben and I can talk about it real quick. But this person, and I'm not going to name names, said, quote, "I just want to know if there's some education that needs to happen on what laws are, what the policies are, and what kind of responsibility people need to be taken when operating their boat." Ben, If you can understand that question, I know you can understand that question. What is your opinion on this matter? What's your response to that individual that asked that question?
Well, my initial response is kind of sassy. It's like, well, if you want to know, why don't you Google it or open up AI and ask the question and get your answer with legitimate facts. I understand people like most people don't boat. most people probably don't know anything about it. So I think a lot of people are just, I mean, you see it all the time on like other social medias. People just ask questions because they don't know. And instead of trying to find the information, they just want someone to tell them. But that's my impact on the question. But generally, like that was a bad deal. Basically, from what I understand, what happened, so everyone understands that the man who was operating the boat was inebriated. When I read the article, the initial article, I don't know if it was alcohol because it said it didn't say alcohol or boating while on talk. It was under inebriation. So regardless of whatever it is, right? You know, boating. I think all of us can agree boating is generally safe. And in a lot of ways, I think it's safer than, driving down the highway at 70 miles an hour.
I agree.
Look, water's dangerous. You take a wave wrong, you're out there in bad weather, you're doing stuff reckless, obviously. In some ways, there's a little less room for error. But usually you're away from people, like you're not, bumping up and against each other and stuff. And most people don't have bass boats. So I think some people get lulled into a sense of security that they can do things while boating that they would not do perhaps while driving. And that just puts you in a bad situation, which is obviously what happened here. And unfortunately, look, we've all been out on the 4th of July, we see it, like you see the party boats out there in Party Cove. And a lot of times the wildlife and stuff, they're not super strict out there unless, you're doing something absolutely stupid. And it's kind of accepted, and this is kind of ultimately my, unfortunately the results matter. And the result for this, unfortunately, that guy is probably going to go to prison. And, because it's results. It's the same thing with a DUI. You get a DUI and there's no property damage and no personal damage. Okay, there's consequences, but you hit and kill somebody, the consequences are a whole lot worse. And
for sure.
It's just kind of I know it's kind of scatterthought. It's just a bad deal. Just be safe out there, people. Don't drink and boat. If you're the one operating it, that is the safest thing to do.
Yeah.
You can have people out there with you having a good time, but if you're the one responsible for them, be responsible.
Absolutely. And, I appreciate you saying that, Ben. I'm going to revisit the question here and then we'll move on. The individual asks if there's some education that needs to happen on what laws are. First and foremost, I'm not a huge advocate of knee-jerk reactions, right? That's not the question that was posed, and I'm really glad it wasn't, which is you typically see that in this country where people are like, oh, you need to have boaters licenses. You need to have this, you need to have that. Right.
Well, and we saw it with the unfortunate incidents at the invitational event.
Right.
And it came a ban these tournaments and stuff. That's a knee-jerk reaction.
Exactly. Same thing with the MPFL Lake Norman. There was an incident there, and the knee-jerk reaction was exactly identical. But my response to the person posing the question is: there some education that needs to happen on what the laws are? You should read the state statutes on what the laws are. Now, nevertheless, I'm working on my undergraduate right now. I'm in my last class, and I can tell you that I do a lot of research on state statutes, both from the state and federal statutes, federal law, and they are not easy to read, right? And so your first to answer that question, I would call Fish and Wildlife. So NCWRC, North Carolina Fish and Wildlife Resource Commission, they would be very happy to point you in the right direction or explain the laws while you're boating, right? And you have to understand that boating laws change wherever you are, right? So boating laws here on an inland lake like Sharon Harris are vastly different than when you go down to, let's say, the Albemarle Sound and you start getting into different territory, right? So they have different laws and stuff like that. Policies and responsibility that people need to take. I'm going to simplify this, and I'm going to say you need to be an adult, and you need to make sure that you're not negligent and acting recklessly. Because I'm a person that's done that before, right? Like I'm guilty of it. Like I've done stupid shit, when operating a motor vehicle or when operating, back in the day. But you have to educate yourself. So like ignorance ignorance of the law doesn't stand in court. I will tell you that right now. Right. So it's open source information you can call, and you don't have to have a license to boat unless you're running a guide service. You know what I'm saying? You're
supposed to take when you buy your
safety course,
your boater safety course. Now, there are some, and I don't know the exceptions to that. Like age, like hunter safety. If you're over a certain age, you don't have to have that. So I don't know what it is in North Carolina, to be honest, because when I bought my second boat, which is my first one I bought in North Carolina, like I had my boater safety course that I took for my first boat that I bought in Missouri. And I just showed them the paperwork. It was all good to go. So that stuff can last a long time, but you are supposed to take a boater safety course that goes over a lot of that stuff.
Yep. In fact, anyone born after January 1st of 1988 must complete a boater education course to legally operate a motorboat of 10 horsepower or more in the state of North Carolina. And we actually talked about that. I think the Bassmaster organization itself, fishing both the Opens and the Elite Series, anybody born after a certain date must complete a boater safety course, or maybe everybody. I can't remember. But the bottom line is, and I'm going to sum this up here, is you need to be responsible. And, Nick Kincaid, he posted, he was like, there was over 40 alcohol containers confiscated at the scene. There was more than that. I think there was 39 on the boat, and there was over 30 or 40 or 50 of them just floating in the water. So clearly those individuals were acting irresponsibly. And to me, there's no common sense that's written in law, unfortunately, but it's common sense, right? Like you can't do that, right? And so I don't know
how many people were on the boat.
I don't know the number of occupants. I just know there was a male and female charged in the incident, and and rightfully so. They were probably pulling people behind the boat, and they unfortunately had an accident with that 10-year-old child. So Christine Fuchs said, if you're in Christine, hopefully you and David are enjoying your time up there in Maine, and you catch a bunch of brown fish and send us pictures. If you're going to drive a boat, then you need to know the rules before you start driving. Facts. I 100% agree with that. Small water charters said you haven't boated with, or haven't ridden with me. And Christine said, if you have a designated driver and you're in the car, then you must drink or whatever. You must have a DD as well on a boat, 100%, right? So if you have passengers drinking on the boat, make sure that the operator is not inebriated. Nick said common sense, and Frank Duffy said, I just had to take that course to go fish in Alabama on my vacation due to their laws. I'm grandfathered here in North Carolina. Yeah, and each state legislators are different, right? So pay attention to your state laws, and that can tie us right in here, Ben. That's a great segue.
Well, I do want to say this. Frank brought up an interesting thing because I know what you're going to segue to. We get there in a second, but because like you get your license in one state for your car, like it's good in all states, regardless of the rules, right? Because each state's a little bit different. Some require an actual driving test and some don't, especially after a certain age. That reciprocity may not be true for bodies of water, particularly
Correct.
Lakes that are all enclosed. So that could be a tricky thing. I actually didn't really think about that.
For sure.
Yeah, it's not just your fishing license. The state that you were visiting to fish might require something additional.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, you can look at it with firearms laws. You can look at it with boating laws. You just need to do your due diligence. Eddie Brunn, last thing we'll say on this, North Carolina, his opinion is that North Carolina has to make it to where orange flags are visible when anchored, tubing, or skiing. Eddie, I see what you're going with that. Definitely diving. They have a law, or they have a flag that they put up for diving. But at the end of the day, like, boat operators need to take responsibility and pay attention where they're going as well. I'm not saying that's a bad idea, but I'm also saying, are you going to put an orange flag up every single time your power pulled down? Is power pulling down considered anchoring? If so, do you need an orange flag every single time your power pulled down? Right. So things to consider, the secondary and tertiary effects of implementing more laws and stuff like that. At the end of the day, the reason why this was highlighted is because it's an abnormality. It's not really something that happens all the time. So, of course, it's going to make headline news and stuff like that. It's just really unfortunate that it happened in general, and that it happened right here in our backyard. But, Eddie, appreciate you providing your opinion on the matter. And listen, anybody can take their recommendations to their state legislators and try to pass laws, right? I'm not saying that there needs to be more laws because I think we have a lot of them, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? Frank Duffy said there are enough laws. People just need to follow them. Absolutely, I agree with that, or know of them.
Speaking of following laws, go ahead.
Speaking of following laws, so the Bassmaster Elite Series. So the Bassmaster Elite Series is on their second to last stop right now, up in my neck of the woods on Lake St. Clair in beautiful, well, I don't know, it's relative, but beautiful Detroit, Michigan. Which, if you guys don't know anything about Lake St. Clair, a few weeks ago I was up there myself and made it a mission to catch at least one smallmouth, which I did. Never been there in my life, even though I'm from there. And it's a massive body of water. What's interesting about that place, and especially if you fish in the north on the Great Lakes, just like small water, what is it? What's his name? Small water charters and the rest of the guys that fish in the sounds and stuff like that, you need to be aware of state laws and federal laws, right? And Lake St. Clair has a border with Canada. Nick Kincaid said there's nothing beautiful about Detroit. I don't know. We can have a conversation about that later because it seems like nobody lives there. So it's kind of legit now. But Bassmaster Elite Series is there right now. Day one was yesterday. One of the anglers, Ed Lochran, he put out a public statement that he violated, I think, Canadian laws, if I'm not mistaken. He didn't have a Canadian fishing license. And he also talked about how friendly and courteous the Canadians were. He bought a fishing license while he was on their body of water. Unfortunately, when he reported that back to the tournament director, they disqualified his weight for the day, which then informed him to make the decision that he's not going to fish the rest of the St. Clair tournament. He's going to go to Minnesota for their last stop, which I think is at Leech Lake. Am I correct, Ben?
Say that again. I'm reading again about. Yeah,
they're going. Ed decided to pack his stuff and head to Minnesota for the final stop of the Bassmaster Elite Series.
No, I thought it was St. Lawrence is the last stop.
Oh, is it? Maybe I'm thinking of the Opens. My bad. But anyways, nevertheless, Ed packed his stuff and he's not going to fish the rest of St. Clair.
All right. No, yeah, you're right. It is Mississippi River.
Okay, so they're going up there. And it was a really commendable thing to do because he said that he's not going to requalify next year for the Elite Series and that he's not going to take this opportunity away from somebody that may be on the cut line to requalify for the Elite Series. So another example of understanding the laws and regulations of where you're operating at. And so, when you go north, if you're going to fish the Great Lakes, you guys need to be very aware of Canadian laws, especially on places like Lake St. Clair, Lake Erie.
And I'm looking into this more. It's not the Canadians. Well, it is.
Oh,
but
it's not the Canadian. It's like a no fish area or something.
No, it's the Walpole Island First Nation.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
So it's the way I'm looking into this. I don't know exactly how Canada does it, but it'd be like an Indian reservation.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't know, a river goes through a couple different states and an Indian reservation. So you have. It sounds like in this scenario, you need a fishing license for all three, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of sounds like where he was fishing is part of this, the Native American land. I don't know exactly how Canada calls it and how it's structured, but I guess you have to have your own fishing license there. So
like tribal areas or something.
Yeah, tribal areas. So like, it's kind of like here in North Carolina, they got the casino out in Cherokee because it's tribal land.
Yeah,
and stuff. So that is, we were talking, that's a tricky one because like, as an American, you're thinking, yeah, I could eat. Honest mistake. I mean, I think we all agree with that, and yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how to like objectively feel about that one. And what's up, Daryl Stevenson? What's up, Alicia from Michigan? Daryl said it is an Indian reservation, but I don't know how to feel about that one, just due to the simple fact that unless Bass did effectively communicate to all the anglers in the pre-tournament meeting that they must, if that water is, if it's off limits and they went and fished it, then they didn't pay attention to the briefing. If it
didn't sound like it was off limits, you had to have license for that particular area.
Yeah, this is where things get muddy, right? Like people are like, oh, Bass needs to do a better job, or Ed, whatever. Or it doesn't matter, right? And we've seen this a number of times in bass fishing where, like if you fish Bugs Island or John H. Kerr Reservoir here in North Carolina, you have reciprocity in Virginia. But that's not the case everywhere you go. So it's hard to it's hard to blame anyone unless you find out exactly what's going on. Now, Nick said that there's signs that say no hunting and fishing, but if bass doesn't make the water off limits, you're kind of, I don't know. And, Daryl said Ray Hanselman Jr. said that he misinterpreted the red line on his graph. It was brief. So if that in case is the truth, then, because everything's allegedly until proven in a court of law, then it's at fault of the angler, right? And so, this is
the angler's at fault. I mean, it's his ultimately. Yeah, you would think the tournament organization would put out, okay, well, we got these bodies of waters and these are the legal requirements. You'd think that'd be like the brief or like the pre-packet or whatever, right? That they put out. But ultimately it's the angler responsibility. From what I read of it, like I could see very easily making that mistake.
For sure.
So
it almost makes you wonder if there needs to be a universal map card for every single angler out there with off limits areas and stuff, right? Like it's a great business idea. If you're interested in doing that, hit me up and we'll talk about investment opportunities. But no, I'm just kidding. No, man, but like we're kind of like on the train of rules and stuff like that. Bottom line up front, follow the rules. Follow the rules, right? It is what it is. Ben, what is your take on the Elite Series up at St. Clair right now?
So I've watched a little bit of the coverage of kind of like the midday report, right? Or the end of the day report. The last couple of days I've watched because I've been just casting, so I've been watching. Looks like St. Clair to me. I mean, they're out there and bobbing around, you know, scoping, fishing for those big smallmouth. To be expected, weights are tight. To be honest, I expected a little heavier weight. No one right now is on track for a century belt. I thought we might get a century belt or two. And then looking at the weather out there, them fishing, like there's a little bit of chop, but like the waves are not, they're not that, it's not glass like it was at St. Lawrence in the past. a year or two ago when they were over there. So it's not like that, but it wasn't too bad. So I figured the weights would have been a little higher, but they seem to get better each day. So there's still a chance.
For sure. For sure. I mean, Nick said it seems very strange that there's not one of the Johnston brothers in the top 10. I kind of want to lead with that a little bit on my end. It's very interesting how the anglers are all bunched up. Like a lot of the anglers are all bunched up in an area, right? Whether it be Anchor Bay, up there close towards the Canadian waters. Very few, if any, anglers are even fishing Canadian waters, which is a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. A lot of guys will typically make that run to Canadian waters because of the quality of smallmouth there. But as you can see, Trey McKinney's in the lead. He doesn't have much of a lead over Tucker Smith, which I think is just, a handful of ounces behind him. Matt Robertson made his first Saturday cut of the 2025 season. He's doing something a little bit different, and I'll get into that later. But go ahead.
Well, as Nick said about none of the Johnston brothers being in the top 10, but like Corey's 19th, and he's a pound out of 10th place, and Chris Johnson's 24th and is 2 pounds out. Exactly.
Right.
So it's not like they're getting smacked around. I mean, they're right there. I mean, everyone's right there, to be honest. We were talking before, like, if you made a day 3 cut, like, you're still in it.
For sure.
Well, actually, I don't know if that's true.
Well, I mean, if let's just say Trey McKinney, for instance, who has close to 25, or I'm sorry, 40, what does he have? Like almost 50 pounds. Yeah. So he has 48.5. Tucker Smith has 48.1. And then third place is Koya Fujita with 45.14. But at the end of the day,
Brian he's at 39. He's only 10 pounds out of the lead, which normally, and the weights are so close, like you would think he could catch up, but there's no chance. Because if you go all the way down to 100th place, right? Blake Capps, he had 9 for 30. Like, yeah, he had a 12-pound day, but like, that's the only one. Like, everyone's getting 16, 17 pounds minimum, it seems like.
Yeah.
So, like, even if Trey you're looking to get in the top 10, right? Even if, like, Taku only has, like, 15 pounds, that puts him at 58. I mean, yeah. There's no monster bags, I guess is what I'm saying, to make up for it. And there's just so many cookie cutter 3 and 4 pounders out there. Like, okay, Trey may not get a 24-pound bag day, but he can go out there and get night 20, no problem. Like,
right. Or he could go out there tomorrow and get an 18-pound bag, and then somebody else within the top 10, top 15 gets a 24-pound bag, and then the leaderboard changes. I believe this leaderboard may change tomorrow. But that being said, I think it's interesting how McKinney is attacking this. And I got to watch a little bit of it today. I won't watch fishing for hours and hours on end. I don't find it entertaining. But nevertheless, it was interesting what he was saying on live today, where he was talking about the amount of pressure from so many boats being in one area. He believes that a lot of the fish are leaving and going to the outskirts. And so that was one of his methods, is targeting those fish on the outskirts of the boats that are sitting there in a giant pod, right? Whether or not it be an Anchor Bay or wherever. They're not easy to catch. I was just there a couple weeks ago. I'm not a subject matter expert on Lake St. Clair by any means. I did catch a 4-pounder and a couple other ones to go along with it. But if you watch the guys there, they aren't catching them really in like massive, like smallmouth schools. They're catching roaming fish and things like that. The quality of fish could be bunched up in one area or not. it really just depends. And then the variety of baits that they're using too is interesting. So you have some guys that are really they're doing a little bit of everything. And I know that there's a lot of critics online about forward-facing sonar and stuff like that. But look, almost every single person is doing it. Maybe the only person not doing it is probably John Cox, but I don't know. But nevertheless, like, they are hitting those fish in the head with minnows, with fuzzy dice and other Japanese JDM style tackle. They're hitting them with spy baits. They're trying to do everything they can to pick off those better quality of fish. And it just seems like Trey McKinney and Tucker Smith and the guys in the top 10 have really figured out how to unlock that bigger bite. Matt Robertson, which I think is sitting in 7th right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think
he is not in the crowd, right? He has ran up closer to where the Canadian border is, at least arbitrarily on the map, if you were to look at it that way. But he's still doing the same thing. He's targeting them with the same kinds of baits and stuff like that. Seems like he's on a little bit better class of fish. He lost a really big one on live today. But I think the leaderboard is going to change tomorrow. Now, Daryl Stevenson said, to talk about what Nick said with one of the Johnstons, and I didn't see this, but Chris Johnston had his boat on the trailer, probably getting some sort of maintenance done or whatever, whether it be his engine or electrical or whatever. So he was out of the fight for a little bit. But you never can count the Johnstons out. I mean, both of them, Corey and Chris, have won Northern events this year. I think one was a Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit event. One was a BASS Open. And so can those guys make a comeback? I'm assuming they probably could, but it really depends on how the fish behave. And tomorrow could be vastly different than today. They may not roam.
And I don't know what the weather's supposed to be like.
Right. You hear a lot of the anglers saying they wish they would have a little bit more wave action. Those slicker, calm conditions typically make it a lot harder for those smallmouth to bite. They are dumb fish at certain times, but other times they are very small fish, or very smart fish rather. But yeah, so if Trey McKinney wins this deal and they move to Leech Lake, I'm fully anticipating he wins Angler of the Year. If Chris Johnston shoots up in the AOI standings, because I think he was going into this in second.
So on Bass Track, because Bass Track updates AOI, so this isn't 100% accurate because it's Bass Track, not the leaderboard. But Trey is still winning, right? On Bass Track, he's number 1 AOI right now.
Yeah.
And where is Chris? Is number 2 in AOI on Bass Track, but Bass Track had him at 15th, so it's possible he would have dropped a little bit. I don't know. Where's 3rd place at? Who is 3rd place in AOI on Bass Track here? 4th is Fujita. I don't even see. Oh, 3rd is Jay
Shakira.
But he is way on the Bass Track. He was down at 42. I don't know where he's at in the leaderboard.
But the top 3, I mean, between Shakira, Chris Johnston, and we're going to put McKinney in there. Like, a lot of guys are like, oh, you got smallmouth guys, you got largemouth guys. No, man, like, they're everything guys. Like, they can catch them, right?
It looks like they did update it.
So if it's going to be a battle, and yeah, Nick, you're right. Chris Johnston wants that AOI. That would be 2 AOI victories in a row. He won last year, if you guys remember, on the St. Lawrence River. He won AOI. His brother Corey won his 2nd Elite Series event of the 2024 season. He won at the St. John's River, and then he won at St. Lawrence. He beat Robert G. He made that run all the way out into the big lake there at St. Lawrence and stuff. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. There's still 2 more days of competition. McKinney's got he can't catch less than 20, because if the other guys are catching 20 plus, he's going to get knocked out. Tucker Smith's right there. Tucker Smith is another one that's really good with forward facing sonar. So, it's any person's game at this point. I'm going to say specifically within the top 10, but it could go even further down. Nick asked if smallmouth tastes better than largemouth. I don't really know, Nick. Ben, you may know, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't eat either of them.
They taste better. Like spots taste better than largemouth.
Yeah, spots definitely taste better. Frank Duffy said drop shops, deep crank, spy baits was what we used to catch them. And I don't know if the crankbait is playing up at St. Clair, but I definitely know drop shots and spy baits and JDM style tackles playing. Let's see. Daryl said Ray Hanselman said he's catching roamers in 2 to 3 foot of water. That makes sense to me. Frank Duffy said wind was definitely a friend. Daryl said Jay Shakira. Tucker Smith is going to wrap up ROI for this weekend.
Where's Paul Marks at on this?
I don't know, but Tucker Smith, I think he won an Elite Series event this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but Paul Marks is in the lead.
Oh, no, he didn't win Elite Series event. I think he won a
Paul Marks is 62
MLF
right
event.
now.
Yeah.
So, yes, there could be some movement there.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the wire for some of these guys for ROI and AOI. And then, there's a lot of guys that are sweating right now because they're on the cut line, right? So,
and I wish I think Luke talked about this in one of his recent podcasts. I wish they would do a better job of, to be honest, it would be better drama if they would put out the cut list after halfway through the season, like who's on the chopping block.
It'd be a little bit of motivation, huh?
Well, it'd be motivation, right? That it would obviously get people talking more. I mean, Angler of the Year is cool,
could be motivating and demoralizing at the same time.
Yeah, but as a consumer, as a fan, like your favorite angler is on the chopping block, like may not make it back next year. Like,
you think that would give sponsors sponsors some insight too? Like, hey, we're we might have to cut this guy after this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Bassmaster with what's his name, Zona. They a few months ago, a month or so ago, they had some people who were on the bubble and stuff. But I just think it'd be cool if they if they had the cut ranking. I mean,
they could do it in the AOI standings. All they got to do is do a color code to the standings, right? Like green, you're good.
Yeah, but I think you have a drop year and different stuff. Like there's different things I think they have to take into account. So
I don't understand bass math. Like I don't understand that. Right? Like I understand weights and stuff like that, but I don't understand how their point system works.
It's like whose line is it anyway? It's like all the points are made up.
For sure, man. So yeah, I don't know. Is McKinney going to lock up the Elite Series event, which will be his second victory on the Elite Series? He won one last year. Can he do it at Lake St. Clair, Michigan? Ben, moving on to
the other tour.
Yeah, so BPT, Bass Pro Tour, Major League Fishing.
They just wrapped up their season.
Yep. Well, no, isn't there championship round tomorrow? If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, hang on.
They as far as their angler of the year is
concerned, there's 2 more days.
Yeah, there's 2 more days. But Jacob Wheeler, shocker, has won his 4th angler of the year. Not in a row, but his 4th angler of the year victory for the Bass Pro Tour. It's no surprise. The guy's an absolute hammer, and he catches them almost everywhere he goes.
Well, we looked it up. He won this year, last year, not the year before, but the year before. Anyway, 4 wins since 2019, and the other years he was in the top 4.
Yep.
So just
another.
dominates.
Yeah, they're up in Saginaw Bay, so you got 2 big circuits up in Michigan. Obviously, the Elites, and then you got the BPT that's in Saginaw Bay, Michigan, doing something a little bit different. Saginaw Bay is a beautiful location if you guys are looking to catch a ton of largemouth and smallmouth. Saginaw Bay is the place for you to go. I've never been there myself. It's another bucket list lake for me, but it's really cool. I got to see some of the footage today because a good buddy of ours of the show and friends of ours, Josh Watkins, who fishes the MPFL, who's on the Army outdoor team, is marshaling in that event. And we don't know who's going to win that event because they zero out the weights. Edwin Evers absolutely crushed it today, the last 2 days.
12 pounds?
Yeah, 212, 214. But if you guys were, Nick said 216, 216 pounds. And I'm going to tell you right now, Edwin Evers was absolutely crushing it on a buzzbait today. One of the funniest, I'll get to this in just a second, Daryl. So one of the funniest things that I saw on the live coverage today, Evers boat flipped it was like 2.5, 2 3/4 pound fish into the boat. And as he grabbed the line, the bass shook. Now, whether or not it was bass poop or mud in the bass's mouth, I couldn't tell you, but that got everywhere. It got all over Evers' jersey, his shorts, his face. It got all over Josh Watkins, and maybe we'll have to get him on here to do a show just about marshaling for the BPT.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, it'd be really neat. But nevertheless, man, like it was absolutely nasty. But Edwin Evers crushed it today on a buzzbait.
43 fish today for 105 pounds.
And so if you guys want to go up to Saginaw Bay, like make sure you have a buzzbait, make sure you have a frog, make sure you have a horny toad, whatever. Bring everything you can for largemouth. And there's a lot of good smallmouth fishing up there, as we've seen the MPFL goes to Saginaw Bay consistently.
Go ahead. Of course, I haven't watched any of the coverage. I should check in tomorrow. I don't know if those. My guess, Edwin, was if he's throwing a buzzbait, he was largemouth fishing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and this is what's strange because when the NPFL goes there, the guys who, because it's a 5-fish limit, who largemouth fish, they don't do well.
Right.
You have to go if you want to win a 5-fish, you got to go brave the waves and catch smallmouth. But
yeah, you got to run out to the islands, guys.
This little tournament, and I say little, but where every fish counts. Yeah, go out and catch 88 largemouth over 2 days.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I would be doing. I wouldn't even worry. Listen, especially since, the BPT's rules are you have to disclose which period of the day you're going to use forward-facing sonar, and then obviously the other 2 periods of the day you can't use it. If I'm up in Saginaw Bay, Michigan, in that format, I'm fishing for largemouth as long as the bite is consistent. Daryl Stevenson had a great question. This is concerning what happened today in the BPT, but he asked, what is our opinion of claiming a spot on the water? Apparently, or allegedly, Brent Ayler and Jacob Wheeler were fighting over a spot on Saginaw Bay today. Ben, what do you think about the unwritten etiquette of a spot on the lake?
So it's situations are situational. Situational. Look, if you're a guy who practiced there, it was like off the beaten path, you're crushing it. Say something like Kyle Welcher, like in Passatank, right? He kind of had that mostly to himself. And then a guy moves then comes in on your spots after 2 days. Okay, well, yes. But if it's a situation where both guys have been fishing, they fish during practice and all, it comes down to who gets there first to be by the rules, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't actually know how MLF has it. My old club, when I fished it, you couldn't be within I think 50 yards or somebody unless they gave you permission. So I don't know what the specific rules, but yeah, it's situational, so I don't know all the details. It can go a lot of different ways.
I think it makes for good TV, Daryl, honestly. When you're fishing, there's only like 66 dudes or 66 people on the BPT roster. And I agree with you, Daryl. Zach Burge is absolutely a hammer. I just sent a message to him and told him you said that. He is a hammer. I think he finished 7th so far in is 7th in AOY. And he fishes the NPFL. But when it comes to spots on the water, it's such a hard thing to argue about. And here's why. Most anglers that are there in practice don't spend 8 to 15 hours in one little spot.
No.
When you spend some time in an area and you figure, okay, I think I understand this area. I'm going to leave and go find something else that maybe is different or that replicates that exact pattern. You have no idea
who's coming in,
who's coming behind you, right? Mm-hmm. Or who is there before you.
Exactly.
If you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that person was sharking what you had based on them, like, and they're not supposed to do this because it's an information rule violation, like watch the live or whatever. And then they're like, oh, I know exactly where you're at. I'm going to go in there and do that exact same thing. I just think it's really hard to defend yourself when somebody is either there before you or, if you're there before them and they come in on you, I believe it is your right to have a conversation with them and be like, look, I'm here first. Like, yeah. It is what it is. The BPT has such a unique format where they don't have to like blast off and like come back to weigh in and stuff like that. So, I think if somebody's following you around, that's different. If somebody's coming in on you and they're not even being respectful of the body or the area you're fishing, I think you have all the right in the world to be like, hey, you're on Saginaw Bay, Michigan, for crying out loud. Like, it's massive body of water. So go find something else. But you have no idea if that person was fishing there in practice, right? But
100%.
It's like first come, first serve. And Daryl said, I agree. If you get there first and they're leading after day one in a 5-fish tournament, you kind of have to stay off it. I agree with you there, Daryl. Like, I think like, hey man, like everybody knows the leaderboard after day one, day two. And if they're following you there, I think it's an unwritten rule, but it's definitely like, there's some ethics involved with that, right? But
it's like, okay, let's say everyone's at Anchor Bay or like it's on Okeechobee down in the monkey box. Everyone's kind of fishing around each other. Like, there may be people who try something different and it's not going down where they're at, but they show up in basically the community spot, right? Because that's where everyone's at. That's a little bit different than maybe if you saw what Jay did a couple of years ago at Okeechobee, fishing the river that no one else was doing.
Oh, you talking about Tyler Rivette?
I mean, Rivette, yeah. So like if someone moved him in on that,
yeah, for sure.
Completely, it's like, what are you doing? But
Right.
if you're down in the monkey box and you got there first one day and this one particular patch, 100, 200 yard patch of Gethsemane grass, hydro, whatever is that, whatever, this particular area was producing bigger bites than something maybe 20, 30, 40 yards away. Because that happens down there.
Right.
Like, you'll see guys just land on the right spot and there's people all around them.
Yeah.
Day two, now you're the last one out and the guy who was 20 yards from you the day before gets to that spot before. That's a little bit different.
Yeah. It's definitely fissuational, as we like to call it, situational. I think North Carolina is really bad about it. I'm just going to go out there and say it. Like, North Carolina, I have personally experienced numerous anglers like going to exactly where I was at. And part of it's my fault because I love to share information with people, man. Like, I'm guilty as charged. I love to tell people where they can go to catch fish. I actually don't have a problem fishing around people, but I've had it happen to me, several times. I don't make my living off fishing. I don't really care. I have no ego, no pride. I mean, I'm proud when I, do well in a tournament and stuff, just because I like to challenge myself, but I really don't get emotional about it. But I have seen it happen here. If you really want to build the scar tissue, I'm gonna say this: if you want to build scar tissue on fishing around people and have people follow you around or whatever, go fish in a place like Michigan. And I say that not because people in Michigan want to follow you around, but the bodies of water outside of Lake St. Clair in the Great Lakes, when you're talking about inland water, they're so small there, like 2,000 acres, big lake there. You will fish on top of people. So I always like this. Like if somebody jumps in front of me, I always make it a point to catch fish behind them. And easier said than done, because I'm not saying I am nowhere near the caliber of angler on the BPT or the Elite Series. But if you can catch fish behind people, that is such a gratifying moment. Because there's hundreds of thousands of good anglers out there.
Well, I like it. You may be doing top water or something. Someone cuts you off. I put that down. Where's my shaky head or my Ned rig? I'm just going to catch some fish just to.
And then you got to make it a point, right? You got to make it a point, like, woo, you're like, you're screaming and stuff like that. And they're like, I can't believe we missed that. They're yelling at their fishing partner. But I have had 2 conflicts on the water. One was with a dock Karen. For anybody named Karen out there, no harm, no foul. Yeah, and I've told that story before. And I've had one guy or one group of guys last year that got really upset with me. And they said I cut them off. I gave them 200 plus yards of fishable shoreline. I was on a very specific frog bite, very specific waypoints. And that was to seal the deal for AOI. And, nevertheless, I don't like to get in conflicts. I hate conflicts on the water. Daryl, I just think it's all situational, man. I think Ben and I are on the same sheet of music. It's situational. But if the leader's there in a 5-fish format, absolutely. I'm not going to encroach on them whatsoever. Also AOI, if I'm not even in contention for Angler of the Year, if I'm down and I know that there's no possible way and that person needs to lock in a 14-inch minimum fish to seal the deal, I'm not going to do that either. But, not everybody pays attention
to
the roster.
Your angle, like your AOI, let's say the Bassmaster Classic. All right, the guy who's leading has a chance to win AOI, but the guy who's there too has a chance to win $100,000. So it's like,
yeah.
It's when you put that on the line too, like.
Well, that's what I like about the elites, though, Ben, is like no points are involved in the Bassmaster Classic, right? So,
true.
But let's say Leech Lake for their last stop of the year, it's between Johnston, Shakirat, and McKinney, and I'll just a random name that's down in the 70s decides to encroach in on what they're doing. Like, come on, bro. You're probably trying to save your career on the Elite Series, and those guys are like, what are you doing? I'm trying to lock up AOI. So neither here nor there. Nick Kincaid said our good buddy Mike Nadeau likes to share too much. Nick, man, Mike is what we always talk about, and that's he loves to build a culture of anglers, helping anglers one cast at a time. So I'm not hating on Mike too much for sharing information, but
can't catch another man's fish.
Can't catch another man's fish. The only fish, there's two classes of fish I believe that analogy doesn't hold up to. One is bedfish. If you tell somebody exactly where a bedfish is at, and you're good enough to trick that fish into eating your one cast fishing snagless flipping jig, then you probably share it a little bit.
Yeah,
too much.
You're right.
And then schools of fish too, right? Like if you tell somebody where and I'm not saying it could be a massive school, but specifically micro schools of fish where there's like a group of 10, but they're in that 4-pound class range. And that angler is like savage at offshore fishing with flutter spoons and hair jigs and Carolina rigs and deep plug, you name it, the list goes on. If I give them the exact coordinates to where that school is at, and they're good enough with side scan and forward facing sonar or whatever, they could do a damage there. But when you're just like fishing, it is really hard to catch another man's fish. So
like,
Ben, we go ahead.
I caught him in this creek.
Yeah, caught him in this creek at this you know, in this water level. Last but not least, we got the MPFL. Listen, that's still quite a ways out. Towards the third week of September, they're going to be heading down to Logan Martin for their final stop of the 2025 season. Listen, the BPT and the Elite Series have already come out with their 2026 schedules. The MPFL won't post their 2026 schedule till probably December, January timeframe. I know all of us here at the One Cast are looking forward to all their schedules. I think the Elite Series schedule is fantastic. I think the BPT schedule is fantastic. That's just me personally. I love that they're going. BPT's going to Orange Lake, and they're going to different bodies of water. Bassmasters coming back here to the Albemarle Sound and the Pasquotank River. Like, I think it's good looking. So we got a little bit tournament fishing left from the national side for the rest of the year. We haven't covered the elite qualifiers because I don't think they've done any yet.
I just looked it up. Their last open is next week or the week after. That's at Leech Lake is the open.
Yep.
The elites, they're going to the Mississippi River for their last stop. And then the EQs begin September 18th at Lake Champlain.
Yep. So fully anticipate with the schedule that the elite qualifiers have that it is. Listen, if you don't like forward-facing sonar, it's probably not going to be for you, but I'm anticipating a lot of forward-facing sonar being implemented in the fall season. That fall pattern, everybody knows, depending on where you're at geographically in the United States, like if you're here in North Carolina, like you can catch them shallow, but you can catch them deep and so on and so forth. So we got a good buddy, Mike Corbishley. He's fishing the Bassmaster Opens this year. He's going to qualify for the EQs with the chances of making it to the Elite Series. He's got to be, top 9 in that. Speaking of Corbishley, for those of you and this is a no paid advertisement, but friends of ours, if you're in our area and you're looking for tackle, a boat, service, whatever, Elevate Outdoors off of Highway 1 here in Sanford.
They got One Cast stuff in there too.
They got One Cast fishing merchandise in there. They got Carolina Waters apparel in there. They also are carrying Bass Cat boats, Skeeter boats, and now Corbishley was able to get Phoenix boats in there. So they're a Phoenix dealer too. They also got G3 and Tidewaters and stuff like that for different boats and stuff, which I'm not savvy on. But if you're in the market or if you need service, and we've recommended numerous people to Elevate Outdoors, they have a fantastic service crew there. They have a great bait selection there. You can go in there and get your hands on everything. Of course, your code is not going to work in there. So if you want to save some money, go into onecastfishing.com or carolinawatersnc.com for those two products and use the code, the OneCast, all one word, to check out and save some money. But if you want to see it, get your hands on it, all that good stuff, head on over to Elevate Outdoors and check out Jason Holland and Big Mike Burchett and the rest of the crew over there. They got great services to offer. So, man, it's been a heck of a Fishing Friday live. Ben, you're there still skirting jigs, packaging, getting them ready for all those awesome customers that are new or repeat offenders. Mm-hmm. Real quick, Christine just bought 2 cash and rods from Elevate. They shipped to New Jersey real quick. That's awesome, Christine. We love the Cash and family. We love their rods, American-made product, rolled, and Cashin is moving their storefront and everything over to a different part of Sanford, so they're not going to be in their old location. Once they do their grand opening, we'll make an announcement here. I know all of us here at the OneCast love their fishing rods. That's all I fish. But yeah, Ben, what do you got for the group before we shut her down?
Well, I think that's about it. I mean, we hit a lot of topics tonight.
Yeah.
Hit all the major tours. We talked about being safe on the water. Yeah, good fishing Friday.
I like it, man. We appreciate everyone participating in this. We promise you we are going to be doing some Yeti bottle giveaways that we have 4 big Yeti bottles with the One Cast logo engraved on them or lasered on them. I think it's laser engraving now. Nick Kincaid still owes us a Bubba scale that we're going to be giving away. So going to hold you accountable to that. Yeah, I got to go watch Pete and Chelsea's dogs. Pete is, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to put his personal business out there. He's in Wyoming for a wedding. Never heard of an 11-day wedding, but nevertheless, he's there for 11 days. So I got his Labrador and whatever the other dog is. I don't know. I don't even know the species of that dog, dude. Like I have no idea. But he's awesome though. He's cool.
Yeah, they told me. Yeah, no.
He keeps me on my toes.
A lot since I've seen him.
Yeah, he keeps me on my toes. They're fun to have around, freaking all of our cats and chickens out. But I love it, and that's what friends do for each other. So, yeah, Pete's up there trout fishing. That's right. He's up there trout fishing, and then he's gonna be at a wedding tomorrow. So, when we get the next Fishing Friday Live, I want everybody on here to give him crap. And anybody that's listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or any other platforms out there, send Pete Shandrick a message and give him crap for being absent for almost 2 weeks.
He's AWOL.
Yeah, he's AWOL, absent without leave. So, Ben, you got anything? I'm going to close it out.
Close it out, man.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in to Fishing Friday Live. Thanks for supporting the One Cast, supporting all the partners that we mentioned at the very beginning, using all those codes that we offer, David Fuchs. To save yourself some money. You're welcome. And help us continue growing a culture of anglers helping anglers one cast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.